Hello, everybody. How we doing? Welcome. Hi, guys. Happy Friday. I had to look if it was Friday. As usual, I forget what day of the week it is. Hi. Oh, hey, Vicky. Nice to meet you. Nice to have you guys here. Lily, hey. What's up? Melissa, Mimi, good to see you again. Oh, thank you, love. I put a bit of makeup on today, I just put a bit of effort. I always wear makeup, actually, that's not true. Hey Alicia, absolutely. So definitely we'll get to some readings. Hi guys, hope you guys are having a good week thus far. I see you, Nessa. I see you, beautiful bubblehead. All right, welcome. I see Tim. Lalita. Oh, so good to see you guys. Thank you so much for being here. It makes me so fulfilled and happy. Oh, Hawaii. That's so cool. I've been to Hawaii. I was at the North Shore. I never forget that trip. It was epic. Although I feel like Hawaii, um, I had my first panic attack in Hawaii, and I feel like the earth, like something about that earth, like slapped me sideways. It was a life-changing moment for me when I went to Hawaii. So anyway, I had to cool off. I was getting heat stroke, and I had to like bury myself under the sand to like cool off a whole thing. How did I know it was you? Well, your little bubblehead, I can see it. Yay, Mimi needs a reading. That's even the best place or the worst place to have a panic attack. Yeah, it was when I had my ego death. So, ego death, yeah, literally had an ego death. Although I kind of rebuilt that ego somewhat still, whatever, it's a whole story. Champa, hey. All right, guys, welcome. I see everybody's here. Hi. There's speak English. I'm gonna start by speaking English. Okay, so hi guys, my name is Jacqueline. Thank you so much for being here. So, hey Jamie. So, how it's gonna start? Very simple. I'm gonna do a group reading so everybody gets something. Then I'm gonna do the one-on-one readings. So how it works is very simple. If people give donations, essentially you're locking your position in as a list. I will also get to people who did not give donations. However, of course, whoever gave donation gets priority. So that's basically how it works. And then at the end, we'll do a healing session. We'll probably do, hey, really good to see you. We'll probably do some kind of meditation activation. So I've been incorporating those lately because I've been liking them. And that's how it is. But also, guys, just remember when you're here and I'm giving a reading to somebody else, I promise you, there's usually like sometimes I give a reading to somebody else and it feels like I'm giving a reading to you. That does happen a lot. So just be open to that. There's a lot of wisdom. We have a lot of fun, good laughs. Sometimes we cry. God knows what comes up. There's a reason why people show up here, I think. It's because we always have a lot of fun. And there's a lot of support within the community, guys. This is the other thing that I love. We're building a community here. And you guys support each other, especially when somebody's going through something. So I love that about everybody here. So let's get into the group reading. This is for the week coming. So with permission, let me have access to your energy for those of you who wish to receive a message, hopefully. And thank you, Reedy. I got you down. Oh, thank you. Yes, I did cut my hair. Sorry, I'm just going to write Reedy's name down before I forget. I did. I cut my hair. I went away to Italy for a while. Had a break. Also have a nervous breakdown. No, I'm joking. I did not have a nervous breakdown. Thank you. That's sweet. Gal Gadot is pretty cute, so I will take that. Pretty. I mean, very. Just a little bit. Ooh, okay. This is quick. All right. So let's get into it, guys. So, okay, this is making sense for me as usual. So the first card we got is the Star Fairies, guys. So this card is all about you got to step out of your comfort zone, okay? Doing the thing that is comfortable is creating the same outcome. And sometimes I feel like some of us are being pushed. I know for myself this week is I've actually like I have my moments where I don't feel great, and I have to honestly say this week I felt depressed. I don't feel depressed very often. I usually can get myself out of it, and honestly, I couldn't. So I spent an entire week feeling like crap, which is fine. I said to myself, maybe that's what I need to feel. But what it does, it basically tells you that something needs to change. Okay. Something isn't going where you want it to go. Something needs to be shifted. Okay. So I feel like this is happening for a lot of us. So I think that some of us have to come to terms with the fact that if something is not working, we do have the power to change it. However, the reason why we don't change it is because it takes work, it takes effort, it takes dedication, it takes discipline. And some of us just rather just be in the uncomfortable, which is sometimes just what we know. Okay, this sucks. I rather feel depressed because I'm comfortable with being depressed. That's a choice that you can make. However, it doesn't work like that. The other card that also we got is the Mer Fairies. The Mer Fairy is also about having patience and taking your time to do things. So one of the changes that I'm making right now, for instance, is quality over quantity. I'm a person who can produce a ton of stuff, but I'm realizing that, I think what I'm doing wrong within myself when I really sat down and had time to reflect, I'm like, I'm working hard, but I'm not working smart sometimes. And this is something that I got to shift because I like producing a lot of stuff and I'm not a big fan of sitting for a very long time on one thing. And so I'm realizing though that this is not serving me. At some point, you got to get smart about what you're doing. So, for instance, yesterday I took the day off. I mean, I still did stuff, but I did creative stuff. But, like really sitting there and taking my time to think. So sometimes we just got to pause. Sometimes we got to reflect. Sometimes we just got to go, okay, what do I really want? What is really going on? What do I need to shift? What do I need to adapt? What is it that I need to start doing differently? And taking that time to reflect upon it and then going, okay, this is going to be a bit of a journey. It's going to get uncomfortable. I'm not going to like it, but it's worth it usually, guys. The outcome of that journey is always going to be worth it. And then the Mystic Mers came out. The Mystic Mers is all about primal needs, primal, basic, like I need to feel safe. I need to feel steady. I need to feel secure. I need that consistency. And this, again, for me this week, that's the topic that came up. So it making sense is like, I really need stability. So from that, knowing, understanding your need, what do I need to shift? What do I need to change? What do I need to work on to create that stability for me? Could be love, could be more intimacy for some of you guys. I don't know what your thing is, right? But the primal needs are very important because if we don't fulfill those primal needs, what ends up happening is that we overcompensate with behaviors and emotions and all sorts of crazy things. We can overcompensate by, sometimes drinking too much or eating too much, and because we're trying to fulfill that emotional thing and we seek it from it outside as opposed to giving it to ourselves. By the way, this is from painting. Just, I got gold paint on me. So there you go, Melissa. So Nina, yes. So I'm gonna get to the one-on-ones now. So right now only Reedy gave a donation. So after Reedy, I will take more questions unless somebody else gives a donation. So I need to change my ways of healthy recovering and being consistent. I've been neglecting my body and symptoms. Yeah, and that takes a lot of discomfort, right, Melissa? Isn't that, when you think about it, with things with the body and the health, like for instance, I want to get healthier, I have to go to the gym. Like I have to work out, I have to eat healthier. Of course, the comfort zone, right, is to sit at home, eat chips and not do anything. That feels good and it's nice and it's easy, but it doesn't get us to where we want to go. And that's the discomfort that I'm talking about when it comes to this card. It's like sometimes doing the hard thing is the best thing for you. I'm so thrilled to be joining today. It's been ages. Oh, yay. Good to see you, yeah, Maya. Tim, I'm at the gym right now. Hey, go Tim. Okay, Mimi, I got you down. Okay, so I'm going to begin with the one-on-ones. Sometimes, by the way, the love will come up. Nina, by the way, love sometimes comes up. I promise you it will make sense. Eclipse energy. Yeah, that eclipse slapped me in the face, by the way. Sometimes I get these like full moons where everybody's like emotional and stuff, and I'm like, I felt so good. And then the occasional thing they'll come around, and I'm like, I feel like somebody just came with a ring at the back of their head and slapped me like that. That's what I felt this one. But that's okay. It's okay because it'll get better. Things will change. All right. So, Reedy, you're up. What's your question, my love? And I'm going to tune into your energy. What to do? I need to know about my next significant romantic relationship entering my life. Okay, so Nina, see what I mean? I'm ready for a husband, but very calm about it, like just too calm. That's not a bad thing. Hey, Nicola, how you doing? Oh, thanks, guys. I know. Isn't this top amazing, by the way? I had to buy two. And then I realized I got to stop buying things. Then I realized this week I got to stop budgeting, which I am going to do. Because girl's been a little bit spoiling herself, which is fine. But, you know, sometimes your primal needs is to have consistency. And the girl here does not have consistency sometimes. Okay, let's get into it. All right, so let's tap into love energy. By the way, Nina, I will say, if you're interested in manifesting a relationship, I'm just going to quickly show you. I do have a course on Insight Timer. Here it is. I'm just going to pin it so you can have a look. I highly recommend that you do this course. Yeah. Change requires discomfort, guys, and that's the problem, you know. I also processed bestie stuff and had that aha moment, and I think she helped me learn boundaries. Amazing, and self-worth via conflict with which will resonate on its own, as I already changed my state about it today and had a big aha moment. I love that, really. Absolutely. That's amazing, right? Because then it makes that relationship worth it, and it allows you to see the gift in it, even though it didn't work out. You know, I've had like my worst relationship I've ever had taught me the most. You know, having had that extreme abusive relationship when I was younger, taught me boundaries as well. You know, which, by the way, I have a course on boundaries coming out on Insight Timer. It's a video course, finally. I'm still trying to figure out all the like strict rules around like this formatting and that formatting. So I uploaded it again today, so hopefully they accept it. But that's coming out too, guys. So definitely check it out when it comes out. For those of you who have issues with boundaries and saying no and feeling guilty around putting boundaries, it's very basic, but it's like EFT tapping and all sorts of stuff in there. So it'll help you rewire that. Into a relationship pause. Don't know if it's because of the new moon. I actually have a relationship or had one. Got talked into a relationship pause. Okay. Interesting. Sorry, guys. I'm still getting a few cards because I want to make sure I get everything correctly for reading. Okay, so I don't see a relationship coming up anytime soon, really, but that doesn't mean it's not there. I think what's coming up for you right now is you're still in the learning phase in order to manifest that. So one of the things that come up is like peace, and this peace that you're feeling is very, very important, because you guys have to remember that when we want to manifest love, when we want to manifest healthy relationships, it always starts with the relationship with ourselves first. And I think what's happening with you really is you're going through a lot of healing. You're going through a lot of inner shifts and understanding. Like you said, you had this aha moment with your friend. That does also count when it comes to manifesting love. Because if you don't have good boundaries, what's going to end up happening is that you're going to attract somebody also who's going to cross those boundaries. And it's just going to be another lesson. And I think because you set the intention of, I want the relationship, I don't want to waste my time anymore, then sometimes, you know, we can skip ahead, but that means we might have to take a little bit longer to get there. So one of the things that it's saying is like about releasing the past. There's more reaching future, let go and let God. So it's like this feeling of like peace, I think, is actually where you need to be. And I think it worries you because it's not in your comfort. So when we make changes, what happens is now that we've changed our identity and our ideology, it feels wrong because I'm used to always feeling like, oh, I should be worrying about this. This is something I should be focusing on all the time. But that's the old version of you. Somebody who knows that love is coming, somebody who's done the work, somebody who's like, you know what, you know, when I manifested my husband, I was at a point where I was just like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I could not care. I am so happy with where I'm at. And that energy is very powerful because there's completion, there is peace within. So I I feel she had, and I teaching each other something. Yes. But I think there's a reason for that happened around that time too. So again, you're getting study. So you're growing, you're studying, you're still learning a little bit about self-love, about boundaries, about self-value. But again, there is somebody there. And again, what you need to think of kind of is like, you want to mirror the person that you want to bring in. And I always say, guys, when you want to manifest love, the biggest thing that you have to do is make a list of your needs, what you need from a partner, not what you want. What you want is fine. Wants are great. I want somebody who's tall, blonde, blue eyes with a six pack. Great. Lovely. Six pack will fade out eventually. The blue eyes, he might go blind. Needs can be taken away. Wants can be taken away. Needs are solid. Needs are somebody's personality, somebody's morals, somebody's behavior when something bad happens in the relationship. I need somebody who prioritizes me. I need somebody who quality time. I need somebody who values affection. Those things will always be with the person regardless of age and time and events. So this is the stability that I think you need to find in yourself, that like, who is this person that can give that to me? Sorry guys, I gotta turn on the AC. I forgot to do it before, and it's gonna get really hot upstairs. So cool. So what I'm hearing here is that you're still in the like stirring the pot kind of thing and figuring it out. Yes, I think mutual aspects that I had to embody respect without ego, for example, non-negotiable apps. And non-negotiables are a big one, guys, because when we abandon ourselves in relationships, which I'm sure we've all done, and it's one of those things, boundaries again, we do things that normally, if we could look, like I can think of things when I've done in the past for people that I had a crush on, just because I had a crush on them, where I abandoned my values and my morals. And I've done horrible things because I just want the relationship. So I'm not worthy at that point. I mean, you can still create a relationship, but not the relationship that I really wanted. Excuse me. So again, I'm just seeing a celebration. I'm seeing your own power, and then rewards, expansion, and destiny. So I do think that what I love about the world card essentially really is that it's like, listen, there is somebody there for you. Everybody, I do believe, has like a soul that you've contracted with, that you can meet and you can create that relationship. And maybe some of us also have made a contract not to. We also have to be open to that. Some life lessons can be around that, and that's okay too. But I do feel like there's somebody eventually there for you. But again, I keep feeling like there's all this work that you need to do around the self. The more you heal yourself, the more you work on oh no, can you guys hear me now? Oh no. Let's see. Am I back? Let me know if I'm back. This is going to be on Insight Timer Zen because I have Wi-Fi. I wonder why it's so bad. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. So let me know, because my Wi-Fi is usually pretty good. So it shouldn't be. Okay, well, as long as you guys can hear me, that's the main thing. Hopefully that will fix itself in a bit of time. Fingers crossed. Okay, it's getting better. All right. That's all right. It happens. This is what happens when we're working with technology. Okay, so I lost my trail of thought, but let me get a couple more cards. So something that came up, yeah, okay, what can I embody more? I hate it when they do this. Okay, so a couple of things that came up big time, my love, and literally it's funny how you asked me that, is that you need to work a little bit on the past and anything that needs to be healed around that and resolved within yourself. So I'm hearing that there is something that happened. It might be the relationship with your parents that you've like learned that dynamic as normal, but then when you think of the ideal relationship that you want, it isn't normal. Um, and then the other thing that came up was the cosmic witches. So not being afraid to ask for more for yourself, but not from, again, an ego place, from a very aligned, worthy, um, uh, healthy, I think that I can say it. Yes, I love that, Sarah. So what I'm hearing here is there's something that you've learned that you think that is normal. And again, like if I look at my parents' relationship, of course there was a lot going on there. But my mom, for instance, never really had a lot of self-worth and self-esteem. And neither did my dad, if I really think about it. But my dad is very egotistical. So he overcompensated with like the bravado kind of thing, well as my mom is very critical. And things within that I've embodied and took on, and somehow started criticizing myself, and started to, like my dad, I would do the bravado thing, and these things created patterns in my life that created very bad relationships at times, or very bad behaviors. So, and even just the dynamic between them two, there was a level of abuse there, I think, and power dynamic between them. But they really did love each other. I do really see that. Um, the point that I'm trying to make is that sometimes we subconsciously we are attracted to people and relationships, and we think that they're healthy and normal, but they're really not. And it's just because that's what we grew up seeing. And in general, humans are really bad at like loving. I'm sorry. Like we think we know how to. Okay, let's see how we're going. That's really annoying. There's not much I can do it from my end, unfortunately. Why is it bad today? Okay, good. We're back. Ooh, I'll just keep talking. Hopefully it'll keep working. Okay, so the point that I'm trying to make though is that I would really really look at the dynamic between what you've learned, what is love. Um where did you learn that from? The men that you've seen, how they love and how they treat the women, and then the women, how they love and how they treat the men, and kind of really sit with yourself and is like, is this something that I really really want? Because my mother, for instance, she was very much a people pleaser, and she would do anything for my dad, but at the point of losing herself and not really having that certain levels of self-respect. And I took that on at one point. And then, I can't remember what my dad was actually. I never really thought about my dad in the relationship aspect so much, because he always just went for what he wanted. But he had a really bad relationship with his mom. So anyway, the point is, when we look at that, we can kind of start seeing that we're taking on subconsciously some of those behaviors, those patterns, those beliefs. And what I'm hearing here is you need to rewire some of those and really look at the example of what you really want, but also not the Disney example where society says, like this is what love is, because oftentimes that is even wrong. So really sitting with yourself is like, again, going back to the needs, it's like, for me, I needed a partner that like really prioritized my needs, like that really cared about me, that my well-being, my state of being. And my husband is all of those things. Like if I'm off, he checks in with me, he's always like present. He wants to take care of me. I don't, not sometimes like I don't need it, but that's what I needed from a person in order to feel safe. Yes, I was always a fixer and overgiver, and that part. But you see, when you're an overgiver, the problem with that is that if you don't have strong boundaries, you're going to attract people who are going to abuse that. You see, and that's something that you don't want. So it's fine to give if that's your expression of love, but if you end up in a toxic relationship, then you're going to end up being abused because you don't understand the boundaries. And if you have self-worth, you would only give to people who know and appreciate that. But sometimes we don't do that. And that's probably what you learn with your best friend, right? And again, doesn't mean that she's a bad person, because she might have learned the opposite. She might have learned that taking is the only way of receiving love. And if I, whatever her story is. Yeah. So these are the things, because if you really want to attract the one and you want this relationship to last for a very long time, you can't, I mean, you can have these issues, but then of course you don't want to attract the wrong person. Or you don't want to still learn through another relationship, another lesson. And sometimes, like then you get engaged and then it's like, oh my God, now I'm learning this lesson still and I haven't healed it. So That's what I'm hearing that's coming up. Hey, CG, good to see you. Mansi, thank you so much. So I have Mimi next, who's given a donation, and then if nobody else gives a donation, then I'm open to questions from people. But as of now, I'm just finishing a reading with Reedy. So hang around, and then when I say I'll be open, I'll let you know. Yes, that's why I saw it clearly with my bestie. Yeah. So as of now, I don't think that they want you to focus on that, or I would have seen it. But I do. I mean, I did actually. That's not true. I did. I think it's going to be at like some party or some celebration. That's what I heard. Yeah, but you know what, really, you got to be open. I think I was on the apps when I met my husband. I just was like, if I would just have strong boundaries and lines with it. Like when I first and foremost, he actually reached out to me on Instagram, but he found me on the apps. So I was like, he invited me to like a concert, and I was like, sure, I'll go. I don't know. I brought my roommate with me at the time, but like I was open, and I used to struggle with the apps too. I just think it's just like saying, I'm open. A lot of people do meet on the apps. I think that resistance is fine if that's really not what you don't. And yeah, it can be very toxic. Because there's a lot of people out there who just got you down, Nicola, that are abusing the system and just but that's where you have your strong boundaries and you have certain rules where I'm talking to somebody for a week before I meet with them. And if I'm meeting with them and I'm not going out to dinner, I'm going for a quick coffee so that I can leave if anything's wrong. And I've gone on many dates where I told the person, I was like, I'm sorry, I can just tell that this is not right. Thank you so much for your time. And then that's it. I had one guy who was really awkward, bless him, and I told him, I was like, look, you seem like a really nice guy, but you're making me really awkward because you are so awkward. And obviously this is just not going to work, but thank you so much. Then I had like guys who get mad because like we went out and then they paid for something, and then like I was like, dude, I bought dessert and you spent like $20. I'm like, if you can't afford $20, you should not be dating. Because you're gonna, I was like, this is not gonna work out. I was like, that should, but so yeah, but I'm very honest with people. I was always very, very honest with them, very direct, because I was like, I just didn't feel it. But thank you so much. One guy I went on a couple of dates with because I liked him, but then I realized this guy was just mad. Like he was just angry because like, and by the third date, I felt like he was mad. I'm like, what are you expecting? I was like, I'm not gonna sleep with you. I don't barely know you, and like we're getting to know each other. Like I don't want to kiss you either. Like why are you angry about it? Like, what do you think dating is? It's like, what are your expectations, dude? It's like, that's not how it works in my world. My husband waited 3 years. So, I'm not saying that's what you have to do, but like, that's where I could feel comfortable and safe. And if somebody crosses those boundaries, they're not right for you. End of story. That's it. Move on. Yeah. So I'd say, really, just be open as to how it shows up. Sometimes just opening up, but if it's meant to be, it'll come to you. But I did see a party and a celebration, so I do think it might be at like somebody's birthday or some kind of event. I do think that that's where the person's going to come in. So yeah. All right. So CG, meet up with my husband at a Starbucks, and we've been married for 10 years. Ah, no, and dating is hard. Like I will say, especially nowadays, it's gotten I've noticed because people are not good at loving, man. Let's just be real. Humans that don't even know what love is. If you really think about it, we think we do, but we don't. All right, Mimi, what's your question, my love? I have 2 drinks here today, guys. I got my tea and then I've also got my protein shake today. I'm like doubling up on everything. See, it's iced and hot. All right. So, hi guys. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, the connection seems to be much better now, so hopefully it doesn't go bad again. So now I'm just waiting for Mimi, and then I have Nicola next, and then if nobody else gives donations, we're going to be open for more questions. Oh, yes, you know what? This is like the pea protein. It's the vegan pea protein, which I like. Very clean. So I was approached for a consulting gig. Also, I feel Some of my projects are at the standstill. Okay. So you want to know whether you should take this gig or not? So Alicia, these are just the people who have given donations. So after that, I will start a list of people who haven't given donations. So we just have to go through the people who have given donations. But I will mention it, and then I'll say, put your names down, and then I'll do the list. Okay, so let me tune in, Mimi. Oh, this is how we do it. That is like the worst singing ever. I used to be really good at singing. I don't know what happened. Probably because I stopped singing. And I'm slightly delulu. Just a little bit. Hey. Okay, so I do see it as an opportunity, Mimi. You did get the card where, oh, hello. um, oh, you just saw that live. Oh, that's awesome. See, synchronicity right there for you, Jamie. Okay, so do what you love, a time for greater personal growth in your career, artistic endeavors, working with others in a cooperative manner. So this is, I feel like it's a go ahead. They are saying that you should probably take this on. I think it's opening up something. There's something here that is important for you to discover. So as far as I can see, I feel like it's a positive. Now, as far as the projects being on a standstill, I'm seeing the chakra cleansing. So this is oftentimes to do with healing and resetting. So sometimes rejection is protection. Okay, so I really have to think of this. And this has been happening with me as well. I think there's a lot of energies right now that are shifting things for us to, again, approach it from a different place, from better place. So I think sometimes when things stop, like I had 3 jobs aligned and all of them got blocked. I had to fire my manager. I got booked another job which I had to turn down. So I've been having a very similar thing, but when I sit down and really think about why these things didn't follow through, or why I really decided not to go through with them, is because as my new self identity right now, which I said quality over quantity, what I'm learning to teach myself now, those things didn't fall into that category. So some of it was like the universe saying, look, not yet, and then some of them I really said, okay, normally I would take this because whatever, da, 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 but I'm like, really, it's a lot of work for very little pay. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. It's okay for me to say no. So I think that's what I'm hearing. And so there's some healing that is happening, some resetting, some re-intentions. So again, with this is like all the chakras, you see all the color of the chakras. So when I see this, I feel like what you need to go through, Mimi, is just go through each chakra. So I actually do this meditation, a manifestation meditation, where I basically call down. You can either do it from the base chakra up, or from the crown chakra down, where you create an intention. So let's just say you want a project to go through, or you want to make a certain amount of money, whatever, manifestation. You bring it, like I see it as a seed out in the universe, or a seed that you've created in your base chakra. And I see it as like a ball of light. I give it a color that represents that very thing that I want to manifest. And then I bring it through every single chakra until either I birth it into reality or I release it out into the universe, depending if you're going up and down. And when you go through each chakra, you're going to channel into each chakra the blocks that are specifically related to your intention and that chakra. So, for instance, the heart chakra, if you want to make a lot of money, then you're going to ask your heart, what is blocking me in this chakra from receiving this? And just allow that information. And then you heal that, and then you amplify the gifts of that chakra to merge with that intention to align perfectly energetically. And then when it feels aligned, you move down each chakra or up each chakra. So I feel like something like this is happening. But again, I think it's just clearing out, because I do see the chariot after that, which the chariot means things are going to move fast after this. So you're at a halt right now, but things will change, things will move fast. But it's because I think you just need to clear out some stuff. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward, Mimi, I think. But that's what I'm hearing here. Do you have any more questions about it? Because I think it's pretty direct. I'll get some more maybe from my oracle deck. Let's see what comes up. Oh, yes. Yes. So, I mean, again, what I'm here, I do see that money's going to be coming in. Okay. Right now, it's learning power dynamics. So, when we get the the Incarnated Dragon card is about entrepreneurship, business, and power struggles. Okay. So, again, I feel like that's really the main root reason why you're going through this. It's understanding like something to do with the power of the outside and within. Um, so figure it's kind of taming that dragon kind of thing. But I do see again, it's going to change. Money's going to come in. This is a great sign that money comes in. Your luck is going to change. Money's going to flow in again. Things are going to turn. And when we get the warlocks is all about looking at the shadow aspect of what's going on and not being afraid to face the truth and sit with it. And sometimes we don't have to do anything about it. It's really just about sitting with that discomfort and just saying, okay, what's the truth of the situation? What is the reality? What's really going on? So the warlocks invite you to see the truth, even if it is painful, dark, and mysterious. Do not be afraid, for fear will only control you. Instead, acknowledge the shadows within you, and from there, choose who you want to become. Avoiding the truth, cast only more shadows. So the other thing I'm hearing here as well, Mimi, is sometimes a lot of these blocks, we project them on the outside, right? I mean, we're like, oh, well, this person or this business or this thing is stopping me from doing things. But we have to understand that everything we manifest on the outside is a mirror from something that is going on the inside, which is why I'm hearing the chakra cleansing thing. So, in what ways is this situation mirroring something within me that is a shadow that I cannot see? And then putting the light upon that and revealing it. And that's what I mean by sitting with it. So I could even take it as far as like, the rejection, me getting these crappy jobs and thinking about like quantity over quality. When I really sat with it and looked at myself and stopped blaming the outside world, I was like, well, I feel like deep down I feel unworthy. And I feel like if I don't produce enough products, I'm going to miss an opportunity, or if that one product that I do isn't going to be good enough. And so I put, the point is there's a lack mentality happening within me. And so once I heal that and once I sit with that and I'm like, no, when you really put your time and energy and heart and effort into something and really be focused only on that, it concentrates that energy, can be tenfold stronger than 100 videos that I could make. And that is also my intention, and I'm declaring that for myself, and I'm owning that, and I'm saying I can be interesting enough to just do that one video. I can be powerful enough to affect people just by that one piece of content, one course, one thing, as opposed to creating 10 courses that like maybe are half-assed. What's up, Bob? So again, I'm hearing that this is something to do with power struggles. It could also be like with power struggles with society, authority outside, and maybe that's something within. I'm not quite sure. Looking at the shadow, but I do know that things are going to shift financially for you. But as far as anything else, I don't see anything. So unless you have a specific question that you want me to tune into, let me know. I'm trying to think if I have any courses on courses. Let's do manifestation mastery, so you guys can check out that one too. So did that make sense though? Is it resonating? Okay. Thank you guys. The haircut. I actually had somebody like be so upset that I cut my hair. Somebody was like, "You cut your hair?" And I was like, "Well, clearly you don't like it, but thank you." I was like, "Cool." Okay, good, Mimi. It's gonna change though. It is gonna change. Things are gonna shift suddenly, but just do the work within and do some of the shadow work. I think that's basically what it's the pause. It's like releasing that. And sometimes, guys, shadow work doesn't feel great. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes it feels like shit. So, but the results are amazing. That's the truth of the matter. It's facts. Science. Okay, Nicola, what's your question? Facts. Now I got music in my head. You guys know that's what happens when after a while I start like getting all these songs. Yeah. I would do both. I mean, I would do the shadow work first, Mimi. So first look at the things that are in the way and maybe just use a specific topic. And then what I would do is I would do the chakra clearing, but it's a clearing and it's an activation. So remember when you go through each chakra, I might have a meditation here on let me see if I can find it because I probably have created chakra. Okay. Chakra and body. I mean, I'm going to post this, but I don't know if this is what it is. Um, but if you go through my meditations, I'm sure it's in there. There might be one around like manifestation through chakra or activation that basically leads you through that process. I just don't know what I've called it because I've done so many meditations by now. It's like hundreds. I don't even know how many meditations I have on Insight Timer. Probably like 200 to 300, honestly. So sometimes I forget what I've created. Again, quality, guys. Quality over quantity. Okay. So clearly I've had dramas happen. I've done a lot of shadow work, nervous system reset, grief being up and down. I'm on 41 days of no contact. Opportunities are coming. How do I go forward? I have lots of talent. Okay. Yeah, so whenever you want to create anything, always do the clearing first. Yeah, I you have to go through my library. Um, that just flew in my face. Just go through my library and maybe type in chakras or something, and it should come up there. Okay, that one obviously wanted to come out. So, but there's going to be stuff in there that's going to help you and lead you through it. Okay, Nicola. Thank you, Gail. Yes, got you down, Gail. So, what I'm the first card that you got is the patience card. Okay, so I think with you because again, big emotions and big changes. Now that you've done the work, it's like, okay, where is my reward, universe? And it doesn't quite work like that. Okay, so what I'm hearing here is that you sometimes there's just a pause, and I feel like this is a theme that's going on for a lot of us. It's a moment of pausing. Things aren't always flowing exactly how we want it. We're not creating manifesting things immediately, but I promise you, just because you're not seeing something, it doesn't mean a lot of things aren't being worked on behind the scenes in the unseen realms. We got to remember, if we want to manifest something, guys, we want it to take a bit of time. If things manifested immediately, the world would end. Because the amount of times that I've wished that everybody would die in a fit of rage, and then if we could manifest it there in that moment, you know, obviously it wouldn't work out. So it doesn't work quite like that. But what I'm hearing here is that right now it's a time of reflection for you, Nicola. It's really a time to sit in that discomfort. It's to sit with like, and you're doing a lot of amazing things. You know, like I said, you got to be so proud of yourself because you've really had done a 180. You went from being in this toxic relationship and being in this extreme up and down emotional to suddenly being in a sense of stillness and presence and quiet. So, what I'm hearing here is that this is a time for you to sit with that. Your body, your nervous system has to settle down. You can't, because I think also you got to remember that sometimes we get addicted to that highs and lows. And if nothing high and low is happening in our life, then we feel like nothing is happening, like we're off track. But if you're used to these extremes, highs and lows, which technically isn't sometimes the best thing, but you want that stability, it doesn't match. So you got to get your nervous system to settle down and feel safe in this new version of you, this new reality that you're creating for yourself, which is, all right, I don't want any toxic relationships. I'm not inviting any drama. I'm focusing on what I love. I'm taking care of myself. Oh my God, that is so wrong. So you see what I mean? What happens with the nervous system? It's just like, I'm not used to this. I'm used to you going up and down and all around and left and right and creating drama or having drama coming at me. That's where I feel comfortable because that's what's familiar to me. And so what I'm hearing here is like, again, just be okay with it, but you got to remind yourself of it. It's like, this is the new me. This is my new reality. Um, you helped. I know who I'm dealing with. I was trauma bonded. Yes. And I kind of told you that from the get go when you told me about this relationship. I don't know if you remember that first reading, but you kept telling me how amazing this person was. And I was like, we do have the demon card here. So, I was like, something's off, but okay. But, and again, it doesn't matter what I say, you have to go through it. And sometimes, we want the best from people. We want people to be what we see in them because we can see potential. Also, that was a chematic relationship. You made a contractual agreement to experience that, to learn something. Okay. So next thing that is coming up is that right now, speaking of chematic relationships, this card is all about chematic relationships. But I'm just going to read you the card. The Galactic Knights are here to remind you that you are a spiritual warrior destined to shine your light in the darkness. You are being called to rise above lower energies in a world, energies of this world, and stand in your divine strength. This situation carries chematic ties, and there may be some cord cutting offering you the opportunity for growth, healing, and transformation. Trust in your higher path and embrace the warrior within. So when we think of the hero's journey, the warrior's journey, any Disney, any film, anything like that, if you look at the plot, what the reality of a hero's journey is a lot of suffering, a lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges, and them holding their identity and holding their boundaries and their truth and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting until they almost die, until their whole world is almost ended, and then somehow they overcome that. And that's a reflection of sometimes what we have to go through. The hero's journey is a tough one. The enemy's journey is making weak choices after weak choices after weak choices after weak choices, and then eventually it falls on them, usually, if you want to go to the plot twist there, unless sometimes they win. But in general, that's the hero's journey. You're going to be challenged, and right now it's going through this difficulty, but knowing what the right thing is, knowing that you've done the right thing, knowing that you are going to get your reward, and sometimes it doesn't show up in the way that we expected. Yeah, the boundary course is coming out. It's going to help you a lot. There's some exercises in there that are very simple and basics, and a lot of like reflective insights, which usually with boundaries, you got to remember that when we have a hard time with boundaries, what happens is when we set a boundary, we feel guilty and shameful. So it's a lot to do with working with that as well, which is very important. So hopefully Inside Timer accepts it. And again, it's not their fault. It's just their boundaries. And I'm just, I haven't posted a video on here yet. So it's different things. So the next thing that you got as well is the mystic elementals. So the mystic elementals invite you, Nicola, to remember that there is magic outside of the reality that you have created, in the sense of, for you, maybe what's magical is having this exciting relationship that is very up and down. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, but like you saw, it came with some downfalls. So this card is inviting you to remember that there are so many other things that are magical about the world. Like one of the things that I love doing, for instance, is watching like TV, like reality TV is like my thing. Not reality TV, sorry, like documentaries. Well, it's kind of actually reality TV, but I like to watch the ones where people are like really challenged in life, like Jay and Pamela. I don't know if you know, they're like two couple who have severe disability. And then I love to watch like Bailin Out Loud, who she has Tourette syndrome. And watching these people just like every day, the struggle that they go through just to like get down to the store, just to go to the bathroom, like things that you and I take for granted. And that brings back the magic for me, the fact that I can do the simplest thing and the things that we take for granted. So life is very magical, just going out for a walk. And sometimes when we go out for the walk, if we have expectations of bumping into that soulmate, or I don't know, seeing something, but just being open and inviting the universe to bring that magic to us, that is sometimes where the magic happens. It's in the simple things. It's in the nothing. It's in the empty space. It's in the boring moments. we also need to appreciate that sometimes, and we're wired not to do that, and that's where we become like chasing something all the time. And this is something again that I'm, yesterday I spent all day just doing artwork in silence, and I painted and I did all this sort of stuff, and I just sat with my feelings, and it was so beautiful because I felt great after it, even though technically it's kind of boring to do. But I haven't done that in a long time, and I was like, I'm gonna sit and just like, eventually I put some music on, some classical music, but I was like, no social media, no anything, just sitting with myself, with my emotions, and just processing what's going on. And there's magic in that. So that's what I'm hearing. Sorry, Bob. In shadow work, we ask ourselves what I am really afraid of when someone pushes my buttons. Am I afraid of rejection, or maybe being taken advantage of, incompetent, etc.? Well, that depends, Bob. Everybody's issues around boundaries is very different. Oftentimes, it stems from what you've learned from childhood, what you were afraid of, and conditioning. A lot of it is also just conditioning. Like, women are taught, for instance, like, you got to be nice and you got to be a people pleaser, and if you want to be loved, then you have to be sweet and kind. And so you adapt over time, and as a coping mechanism to receive what you want, you think, oh, I cannot say no, because if I say no, I'm going to get rejected. So there are different things depending on each individual. Yeah. So what I'm saying, Nicola, is sometimes when we are in this moment of adjusting, because that's what's going on for you energetically, you're adjusting, you're readjusting to a new environment. And when you change your reality, man, it's like, you know, it feels boring sometimes. It's like nothing's happening. So does it mean that I'm not worthy? Does it mean that I'm not special anymore? And when we have that drama, even though it's like intense and crazy, it makes us feel special. So does that, you know, yes, and awakening, sometimes we think of it again as this epic, like crazy. First of all, most I don't suggest having an awakening because it's actually really sad. A lot of people think that like spiritual awakening is like, oh, everything. Yeah. It's like waking up in hell a lot of the time. It's like seeing the reality of the situation and actually being sad about it, but then choosing to do something about it. I think personally, that's been my experience with the awakening. Um, so does that make sense, Nicholas? So don't be hard on yourself. Like, you're doing amazing. Like, the fact that you have went through this trauma bonding, codependent, karmatic, extreme abusive relationship that you were in, to suddenly going, I'm going to choose my peace and my tranquility and my art and myself. Most people can't jump from that to that. So you've actually, again, that's the magic. That's the part that you're missing. You're not really aware enough to see what you've actually done for yourself, and how beautiful and powerful and rare that is. And because we're not getting the reward from the universe, or not, we're not getting like something immediately from somewhere saying, here's $1 million because you did so much work. It, like, I get it. I feel like that sometimes too. I'm like, yo, I'm pretty sure by now I should have been a millionaire or a billionaire. But that's not sometimes the most important thing. Um, so does that make sense, Nicola? So it is a good thing. You're in a good place. You're just in a transition phase, and transitions suck because there's nothing happening. And it's just boring. Okay, but be okay with the boring. Embrace the boring. And, there are things that we can do to make it more exciting. It's like changing our perspective of how we look at things, because we're programmed to see things in a very specific way. And when we can shift that and open up our minds, whether it's to get inspiration from somebody who's been through something like you've been through, or looking for inspiration, we have so many options, but it's hard sometimes. Oh, that's amazing. So you see what I mean, Nikolai? Like, honestly, you got to be so gracious towards yourself. Like, you've been doing so much work. You're trying to better yourself. You actually want to get better. You actually are trying to put the energy into this. And the problem is, again, we put the work in and we think, well, why aren't I cured? Why don't I have the things that I. The truth of the matter is, healing is a process, it's an ongoing thing. Things will get better. You will suddenly find yourself in better relationships. You will finally find yourself in better outcomes. And then the challenge is going to come up again. That's the truth of life. And, you know, sometimes we have those amazing highs where we get these incredible moments in life, but nothing lasts forever. It's always going to be up and down. There's always going to be moments where things are amazing and exciting, and then there's going to be moments when nothing happens. You know, and if you want to create that excitement, then be a little more eccentric, make it fun for yourself somehow. I'm not sure how, but there's ways to do that. I just think it takes too much energy. So I had a hard information, but it's been fantastic. I'm amazed. I've not talked exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I would say just do more self-loving practices. You know, like something that I've been doing lately. For instance, I've been doing mirror work, where I talk to myself in the mirror, and I've been doing self-forgiveness work because I've noticed a lot of my past has been coming up again, mostly about myself and the bad decisions that I've made that have led me to. I'm very aware of the fact that every choice that you make leads to a certain outcome. And I know I should have been in a different place, but because of the crappy choices that I've made, I'm in this place now, which is not a bad place, but I feel like I could have been way further ahead if I had done better choices. And I realized I had so much resentment towards myself and towards other people and circumstances. And so what I've been doing is I've been writing letters to my younger self, forgiving myself. I've been doing mirror work where I talk to myself compassion and have an honest conversation as if there's two people in the mirror. I do it for like 20 minutes. It's a little crazy. It gets a little trippy sometimes. But it's very powerful because mirrors are a portal. And so when you sit there and you talk to yourself, and I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry. I know we should have been in a better place. And like, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I get into these conversations. I feel like it is shifting something deep, deep down. So just keep doing the work, Nicola. You're on the right track. You're doing the work, and this is exactly where you need to be. Okay? So I'm going to move on, but I'm sending you so much love. You are doing exactly where you need to be, and maybe that should be your mantra. Okay? I'm exactly where I need to be right now. Okay, Gail. And it's tough, guys. I mean, the truth of the matter is that this world, that's my reaction to it. Maybe I don't know. Am I being pessimistic or am I being realistic? Like this is the other thing. I'm like I feel like I'm I'm not exactly the most positive person on the planet, but I'm also I don't feel like I'm the most negative. I just feel like I'm realistic and I'm okay with the shadow aspects of life. Like I think it's I don't know. Hi, I am semi into a relationship that I don't think is a good idea to keep going, but I'm afraid I won't get another chance since I'm 80. Oh, I'm sorry, Gail. Um, okay. So, oh, sorry, I'm just reading Nicola. Okay, cool. So I'm going to tune into you now, Gail. Well, I will say, how did you manifest this one? How long have you been in this relationship? Because if you've attracted somebody, I mean, maybe it's been a year, but I will say my husband's grandmother, she's 90 and she has a boyfriend. So, yeah, about a year. See, I knew it. So that's what I'm saying, Gail. I know it's hard, but honestly, even in our 20s and our 30s, dating just sucks. Luckily, I'm married, but I know what it's like to be in the dating scene. I don't know what it's like to be in your 80s. But the truth of the matter is that you did attract somebody just a year ago, right? And there are people out there, so it is not impossible, and that's a belief system that I really encourage you to rewire because that's going to create your limiting belief and it's going to create the reality of the situation for you. So yeah, so the first card that we got is the crystal witches. So being aware of your environment, the negative energies around you, how they're influencing you, and being more protective of your energy. So this is oftentimes this was what this card means. It's like um if something doesn't align with something that gives you peace. I mean, relationships are challenging, okay, in general. Like once we get involved with somebody, especially if you're used to being single for a very long time, it's going to change your environment. So I think the questions that you got to ask yourself, is this really bad or is it just uncomfortable? There's a difference in that. But what I'm hearing here is that I feel like, the truth of the matter is when we get the flower fairies is self-esteem and self-worth issues. It's diminishing yourself, is thinking that you're not good enough, that you can't have something. And that's usually what that card represents. So I think your instincts maybe are right. I mean, again, just double check, just be sure. Never easy. It's definitely bringing back old stuff. Okay, got it. Well, sometimes that can be good or bad, depending. Like, listen, is this person treating you well? Is this person being respectful? Is this person, and if the answer is no, then this is a non negotiable. And you should never, you know, personally, I mean, again, this is outside of the reading, but I think personally, I'd rather be alone than being with somebody who is making my life worse. Is this person adding value to your life? I understand the fear of being alone because it sucks, but there are other ways to fulfill that gap outside of a romantic relationship. Now, I will say what this is teaching you is authenticity. I think your authentic self is being challenged. I think you feel like you have to hide yourself a little bit, like you can't speak up, like you can't be in your light, like you can't be in your truth. And that's what I'm seeing here in this relationship. And again, there are pros and cons to this. When we get the kitchen witches, this is all about basically like food, a relationship, whatever it is, can, first be good for us, but then it can also turn into poison, right? So I can drink water. Water is good for me, but if I drink too much water, it can actually kill me. So a good thing can be too, that can be bad. I think at the end of the day, my love, is that like if you've attracted this relationship now, you're going to be able to attract another relationship. I don't think age, yes, maybe it makes it a little bit more challenging, but there is plenty of people out there who are in the same boat as you, who are wanting a partner and who are having a hard time, maybe the confidence of going out there and meeting somebody. Aw. So let me dive in a little bit deeper with this. I'm going to ask about the dynamic and why. So you see, again, I feel like you got to be careful, Gail, because I hear you saying very strong, demanded, like, I made a decision to be alone instead of someone, is saying, I don't want to be with anybody else. And then when that change comes in, it's obviously bringing up stuff, right? But again, you got to be careful with what you're saying because you already said two things here that are very important. One, I made a decision to be alone instead of being with somebody. And then the other one was, I don't believe I can find somebody else. So should I leave the relationship? So again, very negative claims. They're not very open. And again, it's not a criticism. We'll fall into that very easily. But when you declare that for yourself, that can become your truth. And that's why you can't manifest it. Okay. So what if you can? There is examples of people out there who, are dating. I mean, I should say this, but I'm like, age. I mean, I know women who are like in their 70s and 80s, not know them personally, who are doing OnlyFans. So, I'm just to give you an example, it's like your limitations is what you create. So, not saying that you should go out there and do OnlyFans. But what I'm saying is that shouldn't stop you from enjoying yourself and your life. And it's only a limiting belief because you're creating that limiting belief. My cousin met a man who is nice at 74. Yeah. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh God, oh, there you are. Come here. Ugh. Okay. That was a lot of work to get that card. So, see, love is there for you, my love. Love is there for you. And then the next one is make a wish, wishes come true. However, you do have a lack mentality, and that's your problem. It's problem solved. No, but it's true. And that's most people. Okay. And it's also not just your fault, Gail. It's also society that tells us that. Society has programmed people that when you're in a certain age, you're not a sexual being anymore. You're not allowed to experience love because by then you should be settled. You should already have everything. And if you don't, well, then you shouldn't even bother. Okay. So that's bullshit. Um, that's just unfortunately programming and conditioning from society. And the few people who have broken out of it are living in that truth. Like I said, my husband's grandmother in her 90s, she met somebody. And this guy, Bob, was just saying, my cousin met somebody who's 74. So age is just a number. So I would suggest, first and foremost, look at your limiting beliefs. I would sit down, Gail, and I would really like write down, what do I believe is possible and not possible for me. And then I would look for evidence to contradict that. Yeah, she's 74. So, because like I said, there are women in their 80s and 70s who are doing OnlyFans. So, you know, the piercing artist I got to told me about one of her clients that was a little lady in her 80s who had a nose ring that she took out, and she wanted to get the nose ring re-pierced, and she said it was because she had to stay over date, and he liked her nose ring. See? So again, what is that part of you that is in lack? And because you're believing what other people tell you, it's because you're believing what society tells you, but we create our own reality deep, deep down if we really, really want it. And it also takes a part of us not caring what other people think. Like for these women in their 80s and 70s to go on, to do an OnlyFans, for instance, is like saying, I don't care what anybody else thinks. And they would have had all of those thoughts. It's like, I'm not young enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not attractive, whatever the story is. Okay, again, I learned this on a documentary, people, okay? But one of the 81, like she's sleeping with men who are in their 20s, okay? So, you know, like I'm just saying, guys, not that you should do this or I'm giving advice on around this, but I'm just saying open your mind, because when you stay stuck in this thing, it's like I can only have this, or if I don't do this, that becomes your reality. And I would say maybe find this woman to be an inspiration or a role model for you. Just look at the other people out there who are like, F society, F what people say. I'm going to make myself happy. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be open to possibilities. And I'm going to have strong boundaries as to what I'm going to put up with and what I'm not going to put up with as well. I'm going to protect my peace, protect my well-being. Because Gail, the truth of the matter is that some of us don't even get to 40. Some of us don't even get to 60. Some of us don't even get to, I don't know. And so you've only got so much little time left, all of us on this world. Anybody could go at any time. So sometimes when we think of it this way, it's like, all right, if I was to die in a week or tomorrow, what would I want for myself? What would I change in my life today? Sometimes you've got to think of the things that way and just go, I'm just going to go after it. Does that make sense? Yeah, exactly. So be open. I'm sure there's other people out there just like you. And maybe that's the mantra, is like, I will find somebody. And if I don't, I will have fun in the process of finding somebody who aligns with me. And of course, within your own boundaries, what I'm saying is just go on dates and meet people and put yourself out there on the apps and see what happens. Like, you're going to get rejected, but in your 20s, in your 40s, in your teenagers, you're going to get rejected. So don't make it about your age. Don't make it about your looks. Make it about your personality and who you are. Because especially when we're older, it really does become more important about that. Like, you want to meet somebody who sees you for you and appreciates for you, and vice versa. You know? And I'm hoping to stay with my husband obviously until we die. But like, if I wanted to date at that point, that's what I mean, but I like being by myself a little bit too much. I enjoy my peace. I enjoy my time alone. But having a connection is normal. Wanting that connection is completely normal. It's a human trait. We all want it, we all desire it, and we all deserve it. So work on the things, your belief systems, okay, Gail, and I need you to change those. I need you to start opening up your mind and looking at people who are role models, who can inspire you and show you that this is possible, and then not be afraid to ask for what you want. End of story. Okay? You got this. And then you come back and tell me. Okay, guys. So that was all the donations for today. So I am open now to any other readings. So just put your name down if you want one. It's going to be a little bit of a quicker reading, but put your name down and I will write down the list. Okay, so I got Vicky. Bob. CG. And in the meantime, we're going to sing. No, I'm not going to put you guys through that. Okay, just you guys. Sweet. Okay, so Vicky, you're first. What's your question? What's the tea, Vicky? I'm assuming you're typing. I love it how I'm mixing between like protein shake and tea. I'm getting into a new relationship. We are long distance for the moment, but we'll meet next month and travel together. I've been single for a long time. How to navigate this? You guys haven't been wanting to come out today. Whee! Ooh. First card that came out was the Lovers, just so you know. I love that. Lovers, I love that. Yep, I got you down, Alicia. To do freaking mental gymnastics here. Okay, Lovers. So this is meant to be. You guys are definitely meant to meet up. There's going to be a lot of beautiful experience, and I feel like this is kind of also like an energetic. Like I feel like you guys are being watched over. I think this is again one of those things that was like contractual, like you guys agreed upon prior to coming into this world to experience this. Okay, so there are going to be some challenges. All right, so a challenging beginning, and then okay. Yeah, so the challenges here, obviously, I think once you guys obviously connect, I think what's going to happen is that obviously the issue of the distance is going to come up, and also other little things like you guys are just new. So the reality of the thing is like, I really like this person, but I don't know them that well. And then, of course, things are going to start showing up. So just be prepared for that as well. So, like, sometimes we walk into new things and we just have like these like rose glasses, and then, we start noticing things about them that we're like, it's not great. So not saying that that's a deal breaker or whatever, but like walking in with that, like, okay, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be things that I'm going to like, and vice versa. And so let's just see, because so what I'm hearing here is just like walking into this with a almost like, yes, I have these strong emotions, yes, we have this beautiful connection, yes, this could be like, chromatic or twin flame or whatever you want to call it. I don't see that specifically, but sometimes that's the story that we tell ourselves. But how can I bring it back to just what it is? I am the opposite. No rose colored glasses. I'm very scared, but no, I need to go. Yeah, but I'm saying once you're in it, you're going to have the rose colored glasses because the dopamine's going to kick in. So that's what I mean by that. And also, you've been single for a long time. So, of course, you're going to be a little bit more level headed. But then once you're in it, these big emotions are going to come up, right? So that's okay and that's normal. So just keep doing what you're doing. I just feel like just notice the challenges and really sit with yourself and say, okay, is this worth my time and energy? Is this person adding to my life? Or are they taking away? Very important questions that we have to ask. Now, missing an opportunity, discontentment, or boredom. Open your eyes to possibilities. What was the other card? Let's see, this one wants to come out. So I feel like, again, you've had these emotions, and then it's going to feel like there's some kind of emotional loss because I think you guys have to go your separate ways again. So I don't see anything specific around like where it's going to go long term. I think right now they want you guys to focus on just being in the reality of it, enjoying it, having fun. Again, objectivity. Anything else that we need to know about this relationship? Please bring clarity because I can see. Oh, that one flipped. I don't know why they have to fall on the floor. After a while, it's a little boring. Okay. Yeah, they're not telling me much else about it. What I'm just hearing here is that basically, like, this is awakening something within you. It's balancing energies again. Okay, so I feel like possibly, I don't know how you guys, I mean, if you want to, after this, if you want to be closer to each other, I don't know why, but I'm seeing like study or learning or growth. So I don't know if you can transfer to study or something. Um, or maybe something even about you teaching him something very important about himself. I think there's a lot of parallels here. I'm trying to get the download clear, but it's not coming through 100% clear if I have to be honest. Something about, I feel like it's more about you teaching him something very important. Um, but yeah, I feel like once this is going to happen, I think the reality is going to set back in where you guys are going to have to part ways, which is going to essentially make a decision from there whether this is something that you really want or not, because it's like you got the wish come true. So what do you want after this? So I would say, from what I can see here, this is your opportunity to really decide. He's autistic, so I have to learn about, oh, there you go. Well, there's the challenges also that are going to come in, my love. That makes sense. Now I can see why the challenges are going to come in. Somebody who's autistic in general, I mean, I don't know, I'm not an expert on autism, but I know that they have a really hard time expressing emotions. And then when they do, I think it's very heightened from what I've seen. So that takes a bit of adjustment, you know. So, but I think you are going to help because you see, she's teaching him something. She's teaching him, she's showing him something. But I think, anyway, the point is, I think what I'm hearing here is that just take this as by the end of this trip, I'm going to know more of what I want, because as of now, you don't have enough information to know exactly whether this is going to be right for you or not. And I think after this trip, you're going to be able to make that decision whether this is something you want to move ahead with or if it's something that you're willing to let it go, creating balance. But I think at the end of the day, this is a lot about you two healing something and teaching each other something. You're going to teach him something, and he's going to possibly help you with some balance, rebalancing your emotions, you know, open to the idea of relationships again, and reconnecting with people, that kind of stuff. So you're teaching each other very different things, but still helping each other in the same level, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that's what I see. Nothing specific about like long-term stuff, but more about just focus on what this is. And then from there, you're going to be able to make a decision on what you want more and be clearer on the future. Yeah, and you definitely need to teach them how to love, because that's the thing about autism. They have a really hard time connecting and with emotions. Again, I'm not an expert, but from what I understand. Yes. So you need to heal your heart, and that's why you feel safer with somebody like this, because this person, again, how they express their emotions is going to be very different than, you know, I don't want to say normal people, because to me, autistic people are normal, but you know what I'm saying, like how normally people interact in relationships. That's probably the word that I was looking for. Because it's safer for you to be in that dynamic. So you're opening your heart again and might reveal certain things. So you're teaching him how to be more emotional, and he's teaching you things about yourself that you need to heal. You don't need to heal it. You can heal it if you want to. You don't need to do anything that you don't want to do. Okay, so hopefully that made sense, Vicky. Sneeze. I swear. It's going to be exciting either way. It's going to be a fun trip. But yeah, challenges are going to come up, man. I'm telling you. Because when somebody, it's like just figuring out how the dynamic's going to work, because it's just a different way of communicating. But it can definitely work. Okay, Bob, what's your question? Bob the Builder. You're welcome. Sorry. How do I convince myself to trust myself and others and be less sensitive about criticism? I always felt that people make fun of me because of my insecurities and vulnerabilities, but could it be that it makes me attractive to women? Wow, that's all interesting what you just said. Because I think you believe that your vulnerability makes you attractive to women, which is why you hold on to it. But your vulnerability also is putting you up for criticism, which means you're making yourself too vulnerable to people. The truth of the matter is, Bob, is that some people will use that against you. So let's see. This one needs to come up. Tuning in. So what I'm hearing here is that I feel like you're artistic. There you go. Yeah, because you see, look, what I'm seeing here is this person has their arms crossed. Even though it's the wheel card, I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing the image. And then you see how they have like this, they've created their own world. So nothing outside of that exists for them. They've created like a shield or a world around them. So I feel like that's where you're at. I think you've created this little bubble, this reality in yourself, that this is how I'm comfortable and this is how I feel myself in the world. But that's not actually how the world is sometimes. um, Open your heart and mind to those around you. Trustworthy and heartfelt advice. Charity work. Okay, so interesting right here. Look at this. You see similarities between these two. They both have their arms crossed, but the only difference between the two is that this one has created their own world and they're shut off from the reality. Well, as this one is still, arms crossed or whatever, but they're in the world. So there's a difference here. So what I'm hearing here, Bob, for you, I think it's like learning to see things for what they really are and not so much what you want them to be. Um, we can have this optimistic, because I'm, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming with autism there's a level of detachment, right? There's a level of being able to create this inner world, and please correct me, like I said, but that's what I'm feeling that's coming up, and again, from what I understand. But that also shuts you out sometimes a little bit from the reality, because you can't read people's emotions as well. And so what ends up happening is that you can't read people's intentions sometimes, and manipulation. People manipulate all the time, and some people do it on purpose and some people don't do it on purpose. They just don't have the self-awareness, and we got to learn to protect ourselves but not be fooled by you know the reality of it. Vulnerability is not a bad thing. Women do like vulnerability. I think, like I said before, I think your vulnerability, like, that's something that women might be drawn and attracted to. But like you said, like this ability for you to be, am I looking for the word? It'll come to me. Give me a second. So I'm going to go for the question about trusting yourself, and then hopefully the rest will come to me. The way that we learn to trust ourselves is oftentimes by, first and foremost, building up evidence. Second of all, trying different things, but also building that, kind of like when I had to learn to like understand the difference between my intuition and my ego. Okay. The way I learned that is simply by understanding the two different voices, how they felt in my body, how I could hear them, and then test it out. So basically, like if I heard something saying to me is like, you should do this course. And I'm like, is that my intuition or my ego wanting to do the course? And I'm like, well, the only way I'm going to find out is to do the course. And so I would do the course. And then by the end of it, I would know if that was my intuition or my ego. The ego oftentimes, for instance, talks with fear, with, eventually you learn the difference basically. But you have to try it. You have to put yourself out there. But at the same time, not do it like too vulnerable. Like, again, you do need that shield. So I think the part of you is like not trusting others. There's a reason why you have that, because people can't be trusted. Not everybody, of course. Please do trust some people, but it's about learning who I can trust and who I cannot trust. And sometimes that does require a little bit of testing, but you can still do it with a self protection. So again, they both have their arms crossed, but the difference is his world and the real world. So hopefully this is making a bit of sense. Hopefully, I don't know if it's coming through. So some level of guardness, some level of like being careful is important, because if you go out into the world and go, everybody's great and everything's fantastic, unfortunately, there's some people out there who aren't great and who aren't fantastic, and who will take advantage of somebody who is vulnerable. And again, some people do it intentionally and some people do it unintentionally. So it's also like the other thing that you got is like seeing the truth of the situation, and sometimes it's just about seeing things for what they are. Yes, you've been taken advantage of, exactly. So I think it's, again, rephrasing these things is like, I'm learning to, how can I learn to trust myself? That's important. That's the most important relationship that you need to have, because if you can trust yourself, what ends up happening is that you're going to know. You're not going to like question things too far or allow somebody to take advantage of you too far. At some point, you're going to recognize the red flags and go, I know this is wrong, and I'm going to walk away. When you don't trust yourself, you keep basically saying, I don't know, but they did this thing for me, and then they smiled. I know that they did that thing, but I just feel like maybe I'm special, and just because they did that to Bob, they're not going to do that to me. Although you're Bob, I use Bob as your name for some reason. So I can only give you an example for me. For instance, when I learned to trust myself is that I've learned to recognize red flags in certain relationships that I used to manifest. Thank you so much, Paige. Yes, I got your name down. So my history was I used to attract abusive relationships, narcissistic abusive relationships. Many years go by, I haven't attracted anything. I wanted to make a new friend, met this person, and I started letting them in my world, and red flags started coming up. Now, the old me would have ignored all of these flags because I wouldn't trust myself. But because I trust myself now, after the third or fourth red flag, I was like, this person is not a good person for me. We're not going to align. I can already see where this is going. I trust myself to know this is the right decision. And I dissolved the relationship because I trust myself. I know that this is where this is going to go. So the most important thing, Bob, I would say that you have to learn first and foremost is, again, that relationship with yourself and recognizing the cycles and patterns in people who are abusive. And they're very obvious once you start noticing them. Some people are better manipulators than others. I will say that, unless they're just evil. But in general, an example is somebody calls you all the time and expects you to answer the phone all the time. Okay, but then you have to trust yourself in order to say, it's okay for me to put my boundaries down. It's okay for me to say, this is not good for me. It's okay for me to say, I'm going to prioritize my health and well-being. So this person would call me every day, and all that this person would do was complain for hours on the phone about this one person, this one relationship that happened 3 years ago. And you give them the advice once, they do nothing about it. You give them the advice twice, they do nothing about it. Then something happened to me, and they did not bother to call and check up on me when I was like almost died. So how many red flags do you want at this point? And then if you don't answer the phone, they get upset because you don't drop everything out of the hat, not respecting my boundaries, my reality, my world. And so again, things build up, right? But oh, but they're nice and they're fun and then this, and it's like, no, there were so many red flags. So does that make sense? So keep learning to have your boundaries. Keep learning to trust yourself. And by the way, Bob, I will say a very attractive feature in men for women is not just vulnerability, because too much vulnerability can also be unattractive to women, okay? But it's self-assurance and self-security. A man who knows himself, a man who knows his boundaries is very attractive to a woman. My husband has very good boundaries. Very good boundaries, because if he didn't, I would walk all over him, because I'm very alpha. I am very dominating. I'm not afraid to ask for what I want, when I want it, and how I want it. And that for somebody who does not have strong boundaries, I could walk all over them. Of course, I don't take advantage of that, but if I did, that's not good. So he just puts his foot down and says no. And also, I teach him sometimes in some aspects, because he's not very good at certain areas, where I tell him, it's like, dude, you have so much power. Like, if you told me no, I'm just going to be like, okay, So, but it's a very attractive feature. And this doesn't mean like toxic male, like I'm the boss and I'm this and I'm that. No, a man who contains his energy just knows who he is. He doesn't have to try very hard. He doesn't have to be aggressive. He doesn't have to be loud about it. His presence, his energy alone holds that, because that's what men are. Men are containers for a woman to feel safe so that she can blossom. That's really the energy of the masculine and the feminine. When a man can make a woman feel safe and protected just by holding his energy and knowing who he is a very powerful man. Does that make sense, Bob? So it's important for you to learn that if you're seeking a relationship as well. Yeah, there's nothing more beautiful than that. And it's very rare, to be quite honest. I mean, some men know, everybody, of course, they have their pros and cons, but constantly working on yourself, bettering yourself, and adjusting and making the changes, taking action in that and not just thinking about it. Action is very powerful for men, because men are initiators in general. Like you think about it in numerology, 1 is the male and 2 is the female. Women are attractors and men are the energy that goes out and does it. I unfortunately have a lot of masculine energy. Fortunately, I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's a lot, So I can also be very feminine, but I've never felt safe to be feminine. I did shadow work when you mentioned that. Yeah. Shadow work is one thing that you can work with. There are different techniques and aspects, but don't be so hard on yourself as well. It's beautiful to have a man who's also very vulnerable, you know, and a true man who holds his masculinity can be very vulnerable. My husband loves to wear pink and loves to wear colors, and he's very like feminine in certain ways, but he's got so many masculinity, you know. Yes, I am gonna do healing in a minute. I've got one, two, three more people to do readings for, and then we'll get to it. Anyway, I got to move on so we can get through everybody. But hopefully that helped, Bob. Okay, CG, what's your question? Excuse me. Energetically, I've been anticipating August for some reason, and honestly, this month has been pure shit. Shit show of annoyance, and I've tried to separate myself from family so I do not lash out, but then it backfires and they think I'm intentionally trying to be rude, but then I don't see the point of trying to explain that I'm not, I just need my own space. They act like they don't understand me. I'm a bit irritated because I'm super clear and I asked if they understand what I'm saying, saying sometimes, or set a boundary, but then they still gaslight me for separating myself. Anyway, I wondered if the guidance had something to do, share about my family drama energy I'm dealing with. Okay, very interesting one. So let me just tune in. Yeah, because you asked for what you needed, and so this is showing that they're not respecting your boundary. So I wonder what that is about. Because if you're very clear about it and you communicate that clearly, you know what, CG, sometimes let them be pissed off. You know, that's what I'm saying. It's like sometimes it's their problem, not yours. You were clear. Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like hold your ground, you know, don't be afraid to ask for what you want. I think maybe there is some imbalances in the dynamic in the relationship. So I think it goes maybe too extreme. I'm not sure if you'll maybe, because I'm seeing here, like, this is very much for me about like emotional balance. So I feel like maybe before you ask for this privacy, maybe you're giving too much. Maybe you haven't set clear boundaries. So I feel like maybe you go two extremes. And so for them, going from 0 to 100 is too much. And they, even though you've been clear and even though you've said it, expressed it vocally, you might not be showing that in other ways. And so for them, it's confusing still because it's like, wait a minute, 1 second you're doing all these things for me, and you're cooking, and you're cleaning, and you're blah 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 blah, and you're there for all my needs, and then suddenly you just disappear. And sometimes I think people can't deal with that extreme. um I feel like you manage too much, and then yeah, again, it's saying it's a good thing that you're doing this. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I just think you have to have maybe more boundaries set throughout the normal times so that you don't get to this level where you have to completely check out. And if you could have those boundaries before, you'd be able to hold that energy better and you would last longer. You wouldn't burn out. Um, and it's fine that you're concerned for them. I mean, that's what you do. You love them, but also sometimes people, um, you can't change people's emotions. So let me see. I'm also hearing is maybe telling them that to give you a few more days, and then you're going to sit down and maybe talk to them about it so that you can understand a little more where they're coming from. Uh, so maybe listening as to what they felt like happened all of a sudden. Because I think this is the other thing that I'm hearing, CG, is that you're a very good communicator, but they're not. So even though you've clearly communicated your needs and your wants, I don't feel like they're good at doing that. And so they don't know how to ask for it. And I think maybe they're throwing tantrums to try and get what they want as opposed to um, sitting down and actually saying it. So I think it's something that you might have to teach them how to do. New person and the expectation that I should do more. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the layers of things, my friend. But I feel again like I think, again, for them, it's just too extreme. So they don't know how to deal with it. Um, so this is going to take a bit of patience. It's not something that's going to be resolved overnight. You've created, like, when it comes to family and relationships, we create a dynamic energetically. So it's like I've created a relationship with this person just by entering the room. So our energies have created a dynamic, a pattern, a cycle. And so suddenly when you take that away, even though I've communicated it, they can still feel it energetically, and it makes them feel uncomfortable. And then they don't seem to, again, know how to really express that. And so then they just go into whatever mode. So I would say take this time to rest, recharge your battery. What I'm hearing here is that you just need to really look at and again, it's not about blaming yourself. It's like, okay, so first and foremost, how I can prevent this from happening, from the burnout. So what do I need to do to take better care of myself and set clearer boundaries during this, so that I don't get to the level where I'm like all or nothing. Um, and then somehow getting them to express that as well. I'm not sure how, but it's like maybe sitting down and saying, look, guys, like, I was very clear. What did you feel that I didn't communicate clearly? Or what did you feel that, like, I'm not sure how to word it. I know what I'm trying to say, but it's kind of like, and it's supposed, it can't go into like that, like, I'm resentful and angry because you didn't listen to me the first time. It has to come from a place of genuine, like, I'm really trying to understand this, so we can bring peace and balance back into this family, so that we don't repeat this pattern again, and so that you guys can feel safe in my absence, so that you guys can feel secure when I'm not here 24/7. Oh, that's nice, Carly. Getting suddenly angry due to resentment or avoiding people. Yeah, you and me, Bob. And that's my thing. I have come to Jesus meetings so I can understand. Jesus, help me. No, I understand. I think it's just being realistic, though. It's like sometimes we think we're like, I, again, I can only think of like things that, like, you know, as moms, I'm not a mom, so I don't know. But I feel like having had a mom and seeing, like, my mom, for instance, she would be the type of person who would do everything for you, right? She would, like, cook and clean and do this and do that. Um, so, but then, like, if you take that away suddenly without giving the skills to the kids to also do it themselves, they get resentful because they're like, wait a minute, this whole time you've been cooking and cleaning and doing my things, but then suddenly you're letting me trying to figure this out by myself. And again, I'm not saying that that's specifically what you're doing. It could be with, like, emotional management, or it could be with, like, I don't know, but it's coming from a place of love, and it's coming from a place of nurturing. But sometimes that can also be the shadow, in the sense of, like, I'm not really helping them as much as I think I am. I'm actually becoming an enabler somehow. Or I don't know, but I'm hearing there's something here, the shadow within this. So that's why the imbalance, because if there was more balance, they would be like, okay, no worries, mom. Like, you go do your thing. So I'm not sure how to, like, put it into words, but that's what I'm feeling is it's here. So, and that's it. Many of my immediate family members feel like that. Before I married with kids, I had the capacity, and now that I don't, they don't get it. Yeah. And so, again, we have to remember that we teach people how to treat us. So I think you just need to make some adjustments moving forward. And I feel like, hold your ground, because you're doing the right thing for yourself. Like, you're creating that peace within your world. But I think maybe, again, it's probably because of survival. It's probably because of overwhelmment. It's probably because you're trying to manage a million things at once. You might have not been aware of the fact that maybe accidentally you set an expectation, and then when you're like, okay, I'm done, these people still, like, even though you obviously, like, no matter what you're saying or doing, these people are like, what do you mean? That's when I people please. Well, there you go. So that's the shadow. So, for instance, my mom is a control freak. Like, she's got really bad OCD. So when I would try and go and clean, because I love learning and I always wanted to help, she would criticize me, and then she would yell at me, and then she would tell me that I do everything wrong, and then she'd kick me out of the room. So At that point, then she'd be resentful that she cleaned and did all this sort of stuff. So I remember just sitting there going, wait a minute, that you can't have both. Like, you can't sit there and, like, yell at me for me trying to do something, but it's not good enough according to your standards because you're a control freak. That those two things don't work together. And also, she does it because that's how she felt valuable, and that's how she felt wanted and needed, and that's where she got her self-worth from. So you see what I mean? But so there's pros and cons to all of it, but then there's this shadow aspect to it that isn't really the best thing. So, and then she would get burnt out when I'm like, I offered to help you like 700 times. Like, I said, can I help you? But then you yell at me and then you get mean. Of course a kid is not going to come and help you anymore. I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm just giving an extreme example of what I've noticed when it goes into shadow. So the intention is nice. It's like a mother is nurturing, she's cleaning, she's taking care of it, but then she's not teaching me skills, and then she's taking away the bonding moment that her and I could have had, and then she's resentful for it when she's tired, and she expects everybody to, like, it doesn't quite work. So there are certain things that I feel like in here, and the people pleasing comes with that. It's like the intention is good, but it's also not the best thing for everybody deep down, because especially with kids, they need to figure it out, and the best thing is to helping them, teach them how to fish, even though I hate fishing because I'm vegan, but you get the point. I hate those sayings, guys. So anyway, the point is, I just say sit down with yourself and maybe just look at how can I set stronger boundaries in my normal day-to-day life, so that when I get to this, it's not a shock to them, that I'm just like, I'm tired. And so looking at the shadow aspects of that, and like, what is underneath all of this. Does that make sense, CG? Hopefully we get there, but it's a little complicated. There's a lot of layers to this, obviously, but I feel like that's really deep down. And again, the nicest people, the kindest people with the best intentions still have shadows. There's still parts that, like, we don't realize that everything that we do is because we're trying to get something, and the way that we're getting it sometimes doesn't serve everybody. Whether it's through people pleasing, whether it's to doing everything for everybody, but then you leave the person with no skills. I can't cook. I blame my mom for that. No, I can't blame her for that now. That's on me now, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it's not my little family, it's other family members. Yeah, it's still the same thing though. Yeah, you're welcome. All right, Alicia. Been feeling lost without purpose, left my job while now due to physical exhaustion and health issues. What are my guides wanting me to do to find my path and happiness? Hey guys, welcome. I see quite a few faces. Nice to see you guys. Okay, let's see what comes up. Ooh. Okay, Alicia. So no, I'm kidding. So you got the wizard card, we got the demonic card, and then we got the incarnated gnome card, which is very interesting. Okay. So the wizard card is all about not being emotional about it. I know it's easier said than done, but this is about having a bird's eye view of the situation, stepping back and looking at things from a logical place. I also like to use this as an example, which is like, if you passed away, you transition, you're in the spirit realm, and you're reviewing your life, and you're looking back at your life from a very different perspective, which means money and status and all these things don't really matter at this point. It's more about, how did you live your life, and what was important to you, and what mattered, and what made you feel alive and worthy. When you look at it from that place, you're looking at your life from a very different point of view. You're looking at it from a higher perspective, a perspective that is more connected to a soul purpose, to the reason why we're here. And it helps us to look at things slightly different. So when we look at it this way, it's looking at, like, first and foremost, obviously you got to the point of exhaustion where your health got affected. So why did you push up until that point where you got sick? And obviously, again, this is not to punish yourself for it. I've been there, by the way, myself. I did the same exact thing. But it's like, why? Why did you get to that point? Why didn't you stop before? Why didn't you prioritize your health? What really mattered to you maybe isn't the things that really do matter. So for me, the reason why I got to exhaustion and the reason why I ended up creating a panic disorder and the reason why I ended up in hospital and all this sort of stuff is because I created this idea, this identity that I had to be this successful person and that I had to be this blah, 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 this famous actress or this blah, blah, blah. And I would do anything to get to that. Anything outside of that does not matter, isn't important, is not of value. My morals were off. And so my actions and my behaviors reflected that. Now, having drive and working hard is a great thing, but again, not to the point of destroying yourself. And so this is where the demonic card comes up. The demonic card is all about understanding that we're making an agreement with something because we get something out of it. And the truth of the matter is, what we're getting from it isn't exactly the best thing for us, most first and foremost, but it's not in an alignment with our higher self. So our morals, our compass is off, and our life reflects that. And that's why things aren't going the way that they have to go. And it's a hard reality, this one. So the clearing and the lesson behind this, my love, is very, very simple. Simple thought, hard to get there, but you can. This is all a card about discovering who you are, your authenticity, what brings you joy, and what nurtures you. So for me now, what I'm making as important is like, it's building a community, it's connection with people. Is if I want to have this success, am I being of service, and how can I truly be of service? It's not crossing my boundaries anymore and not allowing certain things to take. Like if I'm getting sick and I'm tired, I put my foot down and that's it. Like I prioritize myself now. But you don't want to get to the point where you get sick and exhausted and you end up in hospital and maybe even worse to then learn this lesson. So part of what you're going through right now is to understand that your priorities are off and you have to shift those priorities. When you do that, things will get better and you will make better choices for yourself, and you will end up in jobs that don't exhaust you and don't destroy you. My life did get better after I made those decisions. Up until that point, complete disaster and struggles. So it's reviewing essentially who you are at the core, and understanding, again, like not looking for that exchange on the outside. And that's where I had my ego death. It's like, okay, I cannot identify anymore with this person that I envisioned for myself and I would have died for and almost did. I'm going to give myself a second chance as this life, as like, how can I really find and discover who I am at my core and align with that as best as I can. So removing all the toxic behaviors, which if you look from a higher perspective, you know what they are. But when you're in it, you don't see that as toxic. You just think of it as being driven, or as a hard worker, or as dedicated. But when you step back and if you saw somebody else going through that, you're like, yeah, dude, you're like destroying yourself. Like, what are you doing? That's not healthy. So, but when we're in it, it's hard for us to see that. And then creating or seeing this identity, like think of it when you were even a kid, if you can remember that. It's like, I've always been spiritual, I've always been creative, I've always been loved animals. I've like, even the simple things, you start putting the pieces together and then start figuring out, these are my morals, this is really down who I am, and fulfilling those from a place of self-respect and self-value. And you're going to make mistakes and things are going to happen along the way, but as long as you hold that's going to keep realigning you back to where you need to go, and that's how you're going to find your happiness and fulfillment. But that exchange with that thing that you're doing, you're always going to lose. Yeah, does that make sense, Alicia? Yeah, and sometimes, Bob, that's a great idea, but sometimes even doing what's meaning, I mean, it can be fulfilling for the soul, but it doesn't always pay the bills sometimes. I was a nurse for 15 years. I was a mother too, and my health struggles stopped me. Well, the health struggles are stopping you because you're running in the wrong direction, in the sense of you're going against your nature. So when we get sick, it's because the universe is saying you got to stop and look. You got to stop and listen to yourself. So one of the things that I would do, Alicia, for a new job is you got to look at the things that did not work for you in the last job. And a lot of the times, like for me, I freaking was a barista for I don't even know how long. And I hate customer service. I'm terrible at it on top of that. I'm too honest. I'm not nice enough to people to be in customer service. I was a waitress. I mean, you name it. Like, if I now had to get another job outside of what I do, I will never go back to doing that because it doesn't align with who I am as a person. It brings out the worst traits in me and I become a total biatch. Okay. So I am not a nice waitress. I don't have patience with people. I was total smartass. But it made me sick. It did eventually make me sick. So there are things that you can do that might take a bit of compromise, but there are more in alignment with who you are. So for instance, now that I know that I'm an introvert, I can't be working in where this lioness comes from. It comes from like, so what happened with me, because I can relate, I ended up, yes, childhood trauma for sure. Um, for sure. But what happened to me is like I ended up developing a panic disorder. I ended up in hospital twice. I ended up being completely dysfunctional where I couldn't feed myself, where I was dissociated. I ended up having somebody to come and feed me, and then I had to pack up my stuff and move back to Australia. I was disassociated for 3 months. I had to get intense therapy. I lost a ton of weight, and then it took me 6 months to get back on my feet to just be kind of functional. So that's what it took. And if I had, if, and of course I get it, like that's what I'm saying. And that's lucky. But the thing that I would have done wrong is if I went back and did the same thing over again, that's the problem. Then you don't learn your lesson. Then you end up back where you are at. So this is what I'm trying to tell you to avoid. You got to change something. Whatever you're doing is not working for you because you got sick because you're doing something wrong. And this is not a self-blame thing. It's probably a survival mechanism. It's maybe like fight or flight, and maybe what you've learned. Again, I didn't have any support around that time. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I could barely make enough money to eat. I never bought myself anything new around that time for years. I had a bike around LA. If I don't know if you know anything about LA, like it would take me an hour and a half bike ride just to get from A to B. I was on my feet all day, like complete and utter fight or flight the entire time. So if I had to choose something now, I would look for a place that is more peaceful, maybe a spiritual place that I could work in. I would look for a place that it doesn't require too much physical exhaustion. I would look for something maybe in an office or somebody who's creative, something completely different from what I was doing before, Alicia. So that's what I'm saying for you. Be open outside of the world. I mean, you can still do nursing, but maybe work for somebody like a private person or a private company, or there's so many options with the skills that you have. But sometimes we know what we know, and working in a hospital as a nurse, I know it's an insane job. You're dealing with sick people all day. You're dealing in an environment that is like not great. You're doing crazy amounts of hours. I mean, I can't imagine what that's like, right? So again, high stakes. So you got to start saying to yourself, I'm done with this. There's another way out. There's a better way for me. You feel lonely. So, okay, but what has that got to do with the job? Yeah, but like, I mean, what I'm saying about that is like, I mean, I'm currently doing what I love, but I saved up money before I did this. You know, for some people, yeah, they can do it. And again, I'm not saying that you can't, but for some people, it takes, to get to, still a lot of work for me to get to live on what I love. But I'm okay with that. And again, I can take breaks when I need to. And again, I'm learning now quality over quantity. Yeah, so Alicia, again, the loneliness again is also reflective possibly of the environment that you've accidentally created. You created an environment where you're working all the time, probably when the day's off you're exhausted, so you don't have time to go out and be social. So these are things that you can look into as like, okay, I like being around people, but maybe I want to be around people who are not in a toxic, sick environment. Um, like you could be a nurse for somebody who's old and you just take care of one person who's also maybe lonely, and you take care of them. I'm sure there's a lot of jobs around that instead of working in a hospital. Like, there are so many options, my love. So I want you, what I'm saying here is I invite you to really step out of your comfort zone. A life coach is fine, but you have to first be in a good place yourself to be able to uphold other people. Life coaching job is a lot, a good one, that is, obviously. But you have a skill, and it can take you out in so many ways, but it doesn't have to be a stressful environment. It can be more of a connection to somebody. Like I said, I'm sure there's a lot of companies that are looking for nurses who can spend time with like old people who are dying or who need that assistance in the house. So you're in an environment with other people. The job is not as stressful as being in a hospital, and you have more downtime. Does that make sense? So try to think outside of the box. Is he good for me? What does your intuition say? Because you got the Star People card, which is all about intuition. Paige, you're next, by the way. I'll be with you in 2 seconds. So I do see somebody for you. What I'm, again, I wish I could say yes. I do see somebody that is like reliable that you can build something with, but I don't know if that's, you know, so the Star People card is all about, what does your intuition tell you? You're asking me this question for a reason. Like, I would never come up to you and say, is my husband good for me? I know he's good for me. So what I'm saying here is that when you question this, there's probably things to be questioning. When you're happy and secure in a relationship, you don't question it. Like, yeah, there are times where he's been an a-hole and I want to smack him across the face. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he does frustrate me in certain areas, but I'm not worried about this man being bad for me or being toxic or taking away anything from me. And this is also relationships. So what I'm hearing here is that the Water Witches card, Alicia, is all about, how am I speaking to myself? How am I, oh, okay, I know that this person called me a bitch, but you know what? I probably deserved it. Like, are you taking on the negativity and embodying it as if it's like normal? Or this is just, that's what I'm worthy of. So what I'm hearing here, Alicia, is like, you got to learn to speak to yourself very differently. It's ultimately the relationship that you have with yourself that is creating these avenues in your life, the job, and maybe the relationship. I don't see it very specifically with this person. They're telling me you got to trust your intuition. Sometimes the cards don't want me to give you the answer. But I am seeing somebody, okay? I do see the possibility, like, what do you want from a relationship? And what I'm seeing here is that, you even said, I'm lonely. Okay, that already tells you something about this relationship. It's like, if you're lonely in a relationship, again, these are signs you're not listening to your own voice. You're not listening to yourself. If I tell myself that I'm lonely and that I don't know if this person's good for me, there's already 2 red flags there. When somebody's secure and happy in a relationship, there's gonna, again, no relationship is perfect, but those are things that maybe it's me who is not happy with myself. Possible. That is also possible. Okay. And here's the point that I'm hearing. You need to build a strong foundation. Your foundation isn't great. So what does this mean? Start speaking to yourself in a different way. I can figure this out. I am worthy. I don't know what that is for you, okay? But I always tell you guys, I do affirmations every single day. Whenever I find, like right now, I'm changing my affirmations because I need to create more stability in my life. I've been a bit extreme in certain ways, right? So big highs, big lows, not good, fun, but not great, okay? So my affirmations now are around, I can build stability for myself. I am learning how to be more stable. I am learning how to build more financial wealth. I am creating a life for me where I can trust myself. These are the things that I start telling myself. Am I there yet? Maybe no. But if I keep telling myself this over and over and over and over and over and over again, and I bring my focus and energy and attention to my intention, the answers will start showing up. The problems will start revealing themselves so I can fix them. And then the path will start leading me towards the right direction. That I believe 110%. But you got to do the work. If you keep repeating the same thing over and over again and you're not aware of how you speak to yourself and you're not aware of the wounds within you, you keep recreating the same problems. So I have to ask myself now, it's like, in what ways do I feel unstable? Where does this instability was created? Because I created freedom for myself, but there's no stability in this freedom. I'm happy, I'm fine, I'm not like struggling, but there's a difference between I'm okay to thriving. And by the way, I'm doing pretty good considering, but again, I have certain expectations, certain things, there's certain wounds that I'm aware of. So again, I'm always working on these things. I was married for 28 years, not happy for many years. Then I finally let him go. Got the second relationship quick after first one. Now I'm feeling same stuck in it. Again, Alicia. So yeah, well then that's not good. Okay. So again, you got to do some healing work, my love. It's a bit of healing here. I would suggest do some journaling, become a little bit more self-aware. Notice even what you message me. I can see it because I'm on this side and it's easy for me, but that's what I'm talking about, the bird's eye view that you need to have. You need to have a more detached view of your life and really pay attention to the things that you're saying. You said, I am lonely. I'm recreating the same relationship and I'm stressed out. I'm unhappy. I mean, these are words and you're not hearing yourself. If I was saying that to myself, I'd be out. I'm not, I would change it. I'm not sitting in this and allowing this to be what it is if I'm not happy in it. What you want, my love, is stability. You want to create and build upon it. So think of the foundation. I would suggest start doing affirmations, and I would suggest start journaling, and then read your journals, but really pay attention to what you're saying, because it's going to show you where the wound is. And you got to stop thinking of it kind of like, I have no control over this. There are things that I can do to change this. But you have to be aware of your inner dialogue, your reality, your inner world, and change that. And I think you see it on the outside, but I don't think you realize, I'm accepting this and I'm allowing this and I'm continuing this and I'm, thinking that maybe that I'm worthy of this. Does that make sense? So I got to move on now to Paige, but hopefully, when you attract, by the way, the same person over and over again, that is shadow work. Okay, so the parts of you that you've just that need to be healed. When we recreate the same cycle, it's because something within us is unhealed, usually from the past or childhood, and it keeps showing up because it's saying, "Hey, you need to heal me. Hey, you need to heal me." And how you know you've healed it? You break the cycle. So I'm gonna move on with Paige, Alicia, just because of timing, and I gotta move on. No, you're so welcome. But come back again, and we can dive a little bit deeper. But in the meantime, please do the exercise that I invited you to do. Look at the book "You Can Heal Your Life" by Louise Hay. That book is going to help you with starting affirmations. It's a little fluffy duffy, whatever, but at this point, you got nothing to lose. Okay, Paige, what's your question? So it's called "You Can Heal Your Life." And it's Louise Hay. You can also do YouTube videos if you're not a reader. She does have an audiobook on that as well. I don't know if I have, I don't know if I have any courses on that. This one might be good for you as well, my love. There's a course that I have, which is Build Self-Worth and Confidence. So you should check that out. Okay, in a difficult co-parenting dynamic where I find myself defending my character and my parenting and my parenting time, constantly orders being violated, but I'm sorry. Okay, let me tune in. Oh man, it's a hard one, especially when the law doesn't really like do its job. It's slow and it's, yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah, you're trapped, man. You're really trapped. See, I want to show you. So this is the moon card, but you see how she's holding herself inside like a back in the womb. This is literally like mentally trapped. And then again, another reflection. You see how that's like pretty much the same thing. So I feel like that's you, right? You're just like stuck in this like situation, and that doesn't help us right now. I'm gonna try and get the answers. Don't worry. You're like, cool. Thanks for letting me know the obvious. I know I'm trapped, but sometimes they just show me where you're at emotionally. It's like, put me in bankruptcy. Yeah, I mean, dude. Oh dear. Okay. Yeah. So being unable or unwilling to make a decision, a stalemate. Literally, that's the card. I've never read that before in this card. Pretending there is no problem. And then there's the dreamer and the lovers. Okay, so I will say this is a hard one because I feel like this is just something that unfortunately you're going to have to go through. I don't see like a miracle of like getting out of this in the sense of like, unless this person is not taking responsibility. Like, that's just a stalemate. Like, it's a stale, literally. He's a sheep, basically. Sorry, but like, that's what I'm hearing. So the reality is like, in this situation, there's only so much you can do. Of course, keep doing whatever you're doing, which it feels right and correct to you. I do think things are going to change for you, though. I don't think you're going to be in this forever. I do see yourself eventually breaking out of this, whatever this is that you're going through. Okay. I don't know if you're in a new relationship, but I do see a love coming in, something that at least is healthier and better for you. Um, so I do think that that's coming, by the way, or if it's not already here, but something here where it's like the family love energy is healthier. Um, but as far as this person, unfortunately, there you can't force. I'm gonna get my cards just to get better clearing here. You can't force somebody to see and have an awakening out of nowhere. Like, this person has made bad choices, and they don't see that they did anything wrong. They can't. They don't have the ability to like be accountable right now. Okay, I want a solution here, guys, please. So I do see money will come around, though. I do think that money situation will change for you. So understand that I mean, again, costing you a lot of money, but I do think that yeah, I do think that you are going to come into more money, though. So it sucks, but I do think you're going to come into more money. I think there is something there. So what I feel, Paige, and again, I don't, what I feel with this situation, it's almost like sometimes we made some soul agreements to learn certain lessons, and some of these lessons just are freaking awful and terrible, and they suck. What I'm hearing here essentially is that right now, the most important thing that you have to focus on essentially is healing yourself from this as best as you can. Because obviously, having this dynamic with this person, constantly going through this legal battle, constantly being energetically, karmatically connected to them is still creating trauma and problems in your life. So there needs to be a level of almost like, not detachment, but choosing to heal yourself from this person's energy, from this person's. I mean, again, you have children together, so that unfortunately ties you. But there is a way to sort of not allow this power to have any more, this person not have any more power over you. And I think this is the lesson, the deep lesson in this contract agreement or whatever that you're going through. It's a complicated one. So what I'm hearing here is like a lot of the times when we're going through this, that anger and that resentment can continues to connect us to this person. It's almost like this person still basically is like owns rent in your head. Like when you're not working to try to make money, the times that you have off, you're probably thinking about, oh, I've got to go to court and I got to deal with this asshole who's like, but you know, you can't maybe show it because he's the father of the kids. So again, it's this very intricate dynamic. So what I'm hearing here, there needs to be rebalance within your system where you can find yourself again, where you can find your essence and your energy and remind yourself of your self-worth beyond what is happening on the outside in the real world. And listen, this is not an easy thing to do. I'm not saying here going, obviously, just like, I'm not saying forgive, okay? Because forgiveness, again, I know in the spiritual world is like, just forgive and everything will be great. And I'm like, yeah, but if you're not ready to forgive, it becomes self abuse. So I'm not saying that. It's all about how can I find my peace and my not allow this person to own 1 cent of my energy, my mind, my happiness, my future, my present. So it's almost like you still have to go through these actions of going to court and dealing with this person, but how you show up is going to be different. You're no longer caring, like I was saying before, when we have a relationship, a dynamic with people, when I walk in the room, I've already established that relationship before I speak. My energy's already done that. So if you have years of resentment and build up and you guys have a history of having kids, all of that comes in with you. But there is a way to change that. And when you change your energy, your dynamic, you change the relationship and you change the outcome sometimes. So what I'm hearing here, it's like, what do I need to do to feel like what this person does or doesn't do doesn't matter to me anymore? Because unfortunately, you cannot control this person. You cannot make them see the light. You can't go, you're a terrible father. Like, what are you doing? This person has their own whatever story or reasons, and whether it's fair or not, that's a whole other debate. But the truth of the matter is they're not seeing it. So what I'm hearing here is that you got to just bring all of that attention and energy that you're putting onto this person and put it onto yourself to heal, rebalance, reclaim, restore that peace. So that's how you hold your power. It's like, I'm still going to do this. I'm still going to follow through with this. But you don't own 1 cent of this anymore. You don't have any power over me. I don't even think about you when I'm out of court or when I'm at work, when I'm in my day to day. Like, you don't even matter. You're like a little speck in the reality of my life that is. Because if you keep allowing this person, like, it's a lot of energy that is taking over you and your independence and your life and what your life could be. And essentially you're letting, subconsciously, he's winning. Even though he might not win the court case, or he might not, the truth of the matter, the time and energy and effort and everything that is taking out of you is insane. So hopefully I'm going on track here. I mean, hopefully it's making sense. This is what I mean. So this is really a big lesson for you, a soul lesson. So some of us make agreements to learn some big lessons, like, everybody has some kind of major challenge, and this is one of yours. And they're complicated. They're fucking complicated. It's not an easy one, you know. And I can only say this from my experience because I've had a lot of injustice happen to me. And, what I understood is that if I hold on to that, whatever this person did to me, they still own rent in my day to day, every single freaking life. So, and it's taking away my happiness, it's taking away my mental health because of something that somebody did to me when I was a child. Now, it's fucked up. What they did was wrong. They're still in my life, unfortunately, because they were a family member, but I'm not letting them take away my joy and my happiness, and somehow this takes away my ability to thrive in life because it damaged me so much. So what I realize is, like, I can't allow that to happen. I have to win. I have to win for that younger version of me. I have to win for my girls, for my girls. I have to show them the power of what I can be, regardless of what somebody did to me. And of course, showing them, don't choose a man like this, and not to beat yourself up about it again. That's not what it's about. So it's a lot, Paige. Like, I wish I could say it's like, this is the end, this is the answer. What I'm hearing here is the universe will financially support you through this. But you got to do that work within yourself, where you got to stop allowing this person to take away your happiness and your essence and your soul. Um, because that is really the most important thing. And it's the most important thing that you can show to your girls. And when you restore that balance, you're going to thrive. And he has no power over you. And that's actually what's going to be destroying him. Not that you want to destroy people, but sometimes it feels nice. Some people, you feel like they deserve it. That piece, when you disconnect energetically from this person, you've won. That was a complicated one. Hopefully that made sense. It is a lot, but I'm staying resilient and standing up for what is, yeah. And it's also like his birthday was actually listed as a soulmate in an astrology book I had 10 years ago. Maybe it is a soul contract. Yes. So this is an example of a chromatic relationship. Chromatic relationships oftentimes are mistaken for soulmates because it feels like a soulmate because it's so intense. But chromatic relationships are a contract that you've made with that soul, that they're going to come down and teach you something. And oftentimes it's something very intense. Like I had a chromatic relationship with Max. He used to beat me up. Okay. And he literally tortured me. Like he enjoyed torturing me mentally and physically. That is a chromatic relationship. I learned a lot from that relationship, and that's why I have such strong boundaries now, because of what I went through. But if I don't learn that lesson, that person still has power over me to this day, and they still control my energy. So with chromatic relationships, it's about dissolving them, dissolving that contract, and healing from that contract, and alchemizing that energy, and making you into the best version of yourself because of what they teach you. So in a soul perspective, you guys are friends. You made this agreement, and soul is like, oh my god, so you're gonna like beat me up and torture me, and you're gonna be a total dick, and oh my god, thank you so much for teaching me this lesson here on earth. But then we come down here like, oh wait a minute, this is horrible. But as souls, we weirdly make these agreements, and apparently we do the same vice versa. So again, not justifying it, not trying to make it any better, but that's the idea of soul contracts. Yeah, so they're complicated, and they're not fun, but they feel like a soulmate, and that's why most people fall into them not realizing, and they think it's a soulmate. It's meant to be. It is meant to be, but not the way that we think it is. Yeah. All right, Paige. Well, I'm sending you so much love. Best of luck. I hope that helps. I will say I do have a course on shielding your energy. It is for lower entities, but it can also be it's also a good one to do with people. So it can teach you how to shield your energy around negative people. So you can think of your ex as a demonic energy or a lower entity. And this course does really well and very basic, like how to shield your energy when you enter the space, how to protect your energy. And that's a place basically to start. I will also, guys, again, we'll have the boundaries course coming up soon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. So, even though these people are horrible, sometimes they teach us the biggest lesson that we need to learn, and that's the point of the contract. But when you learn it, you activate something very sacred within your life. When you overcome it, that's when you're like, aha moment. I'm a fellow Inside Timer teacher too, but actually took 3 week break due to stress of this. Yeah, I'm so sorry, my love. Well, it's good. It's nice to meet you. Thank you so much for trusting me. Okay, guys, so let's do a meditation. Let's do a little energy reset. Let me think. Ugh. Okay, so I pulled my back again, so I have like my brace down here, and it's squishing my bladder, so I also have to go to the bathroom. So I will be able to do all at the same time, not going to the bathroom while I'm doing this. That got a little personal. TMI. Sorry, guys. Have a good laugh. All right. So let's do a meditation, guys. I'm just going to see what's going to come through. I'm just going to trust my intuition here. So for those of you who can, close your eyes. And for those of you who can't, Lily, don't close your eyes. Just listen. It'll still come through. All right. So let's just take a moment to center ourselves, to take a few deep breaths. And as you breathe in, guys, I want you to visualize your energy, grounding your energy. So we're going to breathe into the heart and letting go of anything that the heart is holding on to at this time that does not serve it on the out breath. Breathing into the belly, grounding our energy and releasing any stress, any anxiety, any tension. And finally, breathing into the earth as if you could anchor your energy all the way down into Mother Earth. And inviting her to assist us in releasing any energies, entities, attachments, experience that is going outside on the outside world that does not serve us. So I'm going to invite in some energy protection today. So we're going to call in our higher self and our spiritual team as we invite them to channel to us and through us energies and frequencies that will help us align with our higher selves, allow us to receive the guidance, allow us to trust ourselves, and allow us to dissolve some experiences that we are facing at this time that are causing pain and suffering and stress. And so when you're ready, I want you to begin to visualize a circle of white divine light. This is sacred light energy that is forming around you. And as this circle closes, it lights up and activates an energy field around you and within you, creating a powerful container where you are in the center. And just taking a moment to feel and connect to this beautiful sacred light. We invite this sacred light to activate the sacred energies within us. So from this circle of light, this beautiful energy field begins to form like an energy egg or a ball or a sphere where you are now in the center. As we begin to bring our awareness now to our third eye, in the center of your mind, I want you to see a beautiful spark of white light. Activating your mind, awakening our awareness, awakening our sacred, powerful mind. Deep, deep subconscious energies and information that we need at this time to help us thrive, to align our thoughts, our beliefs, our third eye, to receive everything that we need at this time to be in our highest and greatest self and path. And then when you're ready, bring your attention to your heart. And in the center of your heart, another spark of this beautiful divine light, awakening your heart, your sacred light, your energy, washing away that heaviness, that wound, that trauma, that weight that blocks us from being our most brilliant and powerful and beautiful selves. Allowing us to love again, allowing us to love ourselves first and foremost, because when we serve ourselves, we serve everybody else. And then down, down to your sacral, it's the sacral. So just above your pubic bone and underneath your belly button, another light activates there. A beautiful sacred light, healing all of the energies in the body, in the DNA, in the physical vessel that we are in at this temporary time. And so allowing this body, this vessel, to not carry that trauma in the body, allowing it to activate its light self, its healed self, its creative self, taking you out of fight or flight and aligning you with the most peaceful, grounded, secure self. Just taking a moment now just to listen, just to feel as these three energy points are active. And then finally activating the final light, which is around this shield or cocoon or sphere that we have activated so that it can protect us from any energies, any experiences on the outside world that are not welcome at this time, that does not align with our intention today. Allowing us to feel safe within our body, safe within our path, safe within our life. We thank you, and so it is, and so it shall be for the highest and greatest good of all. It is done. And then when you're ready now, beginning to expand that awareness back out, Maybe moving the neck and the shoulders. And then within your own time, coming back to an awakened state and opening the eyes.